All right, everybody, we are live. Welcome to our Cryptocopia AMA live stream for today. If you're new here, Cryptocopia is a community focusing on all things cryptocurrency. We are perfect for beginners, for seasoned veterans alike. I'm your host, Michael Kripkala. You can find me on Twitter or on our Discord at Mike Spellcheck. Today we are joined by none other than Shiv Madan. He is the CEO and founder of Blockparty. We're super excited to have Blockparty here today. They are taking on the likes of Ticketmaster. Blockparty is using Ethereum's blockchain to fight ticketing bots, long wait times, and build the first company to handle both the first and secondary ticketing markets in a completely distributed way. So with that being said, Shiv, how are you doing today?
I'm really good. Thanks, Mike. Really appreciate you guys having me on today.
Of course. Yeah, we're happy you could be here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you met the other founders and how you got started building Blockparty?
Yeah, I mean, my background, I guess, I've always wanted to be in music, but I was doing a lot of other different things. I did own a music festival or part of a music festival in New Jersey, about 20,000 people. And I saw a lot of the problems in ticketing. This is around 2014, 15. And I actually came across blockchain at that time. But I didn't really, after writing a business plan that was probably a little bit too early, I ended up starting another company. It was a wearable data company. So we would actually be able to tell whether a driver was going to fall asleep at the wheel. It was pretty cool. And I hired a VP of engineering, Rakesh Thapa, and we just started talking and vibing about different projects that we're involved in. And he had just sold a blockchain startup to a really, really big company around 2017. And so I showed him my old business plan, and we just decided to see what we could do with it. It was a good time in the market. Obviously, we were hanging out at the Galaxy Digital Assets, weekly meetups in New York. And
oh, nice.
There's a lot of different companies. We saw the Hedera guys, the Basis guys all raising money. It was like, well, maybe we could do this too. We've got a pretty rock solid plan. Let's go ahead and do it. So that's how it came about.
Was your business plan from the beginning going to be an events company?
It was always going to be a ticketing blockchain company. So it was just it was not originally going to use cryptocurrency, but the more we whiteboarded and went through the challenges or all the problems that we were going to solve, we realized that there's got to be a new system that incentivizes people to go to events now that we remove all the bots and brokers. Because, I mean, fundamentally, the bots and brokers and scalpers, they help finance events. So if you're throwing Electric Daisy Carnival, let's just say, and, people aren't buying all the tickets up front, the bots and scalpers and the brokers, they all come in and buy up the tickets, and you've kind of been given all the money you need to pay off artist deposits. So we, once we remove all that financing, now we've got to kind of try to incentivize people to turn up, and that's how cryptocurrency sort of became an added element to the process. Okay.
And speaking of Electric Daisy, I understand you brought a special guest with you that we're going to talk to a little bit later on during the interview. Is that right?
That is correct, and there's no mistake there. But I'm super excited. I mean, to be working with bigger festivals, bigger events, major artists. We're really trying to move to be more actively in the music space, and I think we'll get to that soon. But I'm excited about that.
Yeah, so stay tuned, everybody. Why don't we, Shiv, talk a little bit about what the start to finish looks like. If somebody wants to buy a ticket and they don't want to go through Ticketmaster, they don't want to deal with getting beaten by some algorithm who's going to buy, GA tickets all the way up to the nosebleeds before they get the chance to, and then they don't want to spend $400 for a ticket on StubHub. How do you guys change ticketing, and how do you put it on a blockchain? What does that look like from when I'm buying my first ticket to when I'm actually showing up in line to get inside the venue?
So from your perspective, we don't want to make it challenging for you to actually get that ticket and get in. So from a UX and front end standpoint, we haven't changed anything. It'll look very much like you going onto Eventbrite, buying a ticket and walking through the gate. On the back end, however, it's it's on the blockchain, obviously. So what we have is initially a ticket is an NFT. It's an ERC 721 contract. And the reason why we have that is because every seat in a seated venue is different. Every gate, sometimes you can't access certain gates, VIP sections, if you're overage, underage. You've got to have all these different characteristics within a ticket. And so we realized that we had to create a non-fungible token. And so we have every ticket as an NFT. And then we're now implementing our box token to be a way to incentivize people to come to events, to pay for events, to host events, and that's sort of how the box token comes into play. But we also added a side chain because when you have 100,000 people coming through a gate, you need to be able to process those transactions quickly, and we realized that we needed to push them to a side chain so that we could optimize the processing onto the mainnet. So we algorithmically batch process onto the mainnet. And those are the key features. We also have encrypted biometrics so that there's a dedicated chain of custody of a ticket. So when I sell my ticket to you, Mike, it deattaches my digital hash of who I am, and it attaches yours, so that no matter how many times the ticket's been transferred, the custody of the ticket's always remaining. So if you go onto the app, you can transfer a ticket to someone else through a text message, but on the back end, it just deattaches your identity and attaches the new person's identity on the ticket, so it's fraud proof. So all the tickets within our ecosystem are fraud proof, and you can transfer them from a primary to a secondary to a secondary to a secondary, and we can also enable the event operator to make a margin on every time a ticket's been resold. That's the incentive for them.
Cool. So much to unpack there.
Yeah, there's a lot in it, but we try to make it really easy, so you don't have to think about all that stuff, when you're going through the gate.
Well, that's what I like about it. I mean, I noticed that a lot of applications with cryptocurrencies involved are, at least they tend to be pretty challenging for somebody who doesn't really understand private wallets, public wallets, sending money to and from an exchange, and why you would want to avoid a hot wallet and blah, 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 blah. There's a high barrier to entry if you haven't been living and breathing this stuff for a while, or if you're just getting new, if you're new to the space because the price pumped and you want to buy, your first Bitcoin, or because you're going to see Jay-Z and you don't know what a blockchain is, but you're buying a cheaper ticket.
Yeah.
Okay, so the biometrics are a fingerprint scan on your phone, or a face, like a facial.
Either or, yeah, it's one or the other. We do allow PIN, so it's not a perfect biometric system, but it user choice as to how they set it up. But it basically enables the chain of custody to be transacting from one person to the next, just having this information hashed so that you are able to know who owns the ticket.
Okay, and then this is live. This is a working product. You guys are hosting events that are coming to you. You hosted your own festival in Miami. I think it was last year. That was end to end.
Yeah, that was a really, really good experience. I mean, what we found was we built the product, the first version of the product, in March 2018. So we raised funds, through a private token sale, from January until March last year. March, we did a private alpha test. It was a small area at Ultra Music Festival. And then we got to May and we started working with other festivals like Elements, which is a really sort of cool electronic music festival in Philadelphia. And then, everyone else wouldn't give us dedicated ticketing opportunities. So they would say, well, you can ticket this little section here. We'll give you a small allocation of tickets here. And it wasn't really an opportunity for us to demonstrate from end to end that we were controlling the gate, we were running the gate, we were pushing people through, the transactions were happening fast. No one was giving us that case study. And so we decided to throw our own event. And so we had 4,000 people, walk through mid-September, September 15, 2018. it was R&B oriented music. So it wasn't necessarily a crypto targeted audience, but we were able to bring in some pretty big artists, LMA, who had that song Boot Up. It was like a Billboard chart topper, and a couple other artists. So we pulled it off. There was a few moments that we had, but we were transacting extremely fast. Fractions of a second, people walking through the gate. It's easily. It was really, from a blockchain and ticketing standpoint, it was great. From a executing a music festival standpoint, it was just the same as executing any other music festival. You've got to deal with artists and operations people and gates and all that kind of stuff. So
one or two things during the day. Yeah,
that's right.
What were some of the biggest takeaways from the festival? Like what sort of helped you learn more about your product in having that experience?
I think for us is I think the biggest takeaway was product market fit. And I think that we didn't have it there. And just going back to that point I had originally was, we were targeting a use case, but we didn't necessarily have the music or the audience that was really engaged around cryptocurrency. And we realized that no matter how great of a job we did on the blockchain, we didn't necessarily have this crypto excited or crypto frenzied kind of audience that really wanted to see us succeed as a blockchain startup. They just wanted to go into the event. Mm-hmm. And I think we realized at that point that we want to start targeting the people who really care about what we're doing. And so from that point, I think we went back to the drawing board and said, okay, well, how can we add, more use case in terms of tokenomics? How can we target events where cryptocurrency enthusiasts are going to be? And so that's what we spent the last kind of 6 months really focusing on. And I think we're getting to that point now. We've got cryptocurrency conferences or blockchain conferences where ticketing, we've got token use cases we've just launched yesterday and really expanding upon. And I think this year is when we're really going to, drive deep into that sector and hope we can just get everyone excited about what we're doing and get people adopting it and coming to us rather than us having a market all the time.
Okay. So speaking of, you guys just hosted Blockparty. You hosted an event during Consensus, right? During Blockchain Week in New York. Was that on Monday?
It was on Monday. It was, we try to, and Vlad, our chief development officer, he works extremely hard to make that a success, and he's great at putting parties together. We've landed. We've been lucky to have really good venues. So we work very closely with Up and Down, the One Oak group, Botter group in New York, to put on events there and host bottles. You can actually buy bottles and VIP tables with Bitcoin. So we've enabled that for them. So we had that really cool venue, and then we were really careful about what we wanted to achieve out of it. We made sure that all of our good friends were going to be there. So a lot of our initial sort of investors and companies that we work with closely were all there, and so that was great. And then we had some investors and influencers and other people from the space all there as well. So we really cultivated the crowd, and I think it was great. And then I got to DJ. I was pretty happy about that. I DJ'd a back-to-back set with Starkillers. That was fun. And then Novo, of all people, jumped on and started DJing with me as well. That was a unique experience. He's a very interesting man. But I mean, he had a lot of fun, and I think it was good to just do something that we can really control in New York City during Blockchain Week, when everyone's in town and we can scan all these tickets and show people that we're live and we're actually functioning and working.
You said Nova, that's Mike Novogratz?
Michael Novogratz, yeah. He was one of our original investors. So, we always hang out with him and stay close with him. Not necessarily see him all the time, but he had one of the VIP tables and, just jumped over and started.
And he DJs?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. He presses the buttons, he changes the tracks. He was up there. He actually said, "Hey, Shiv, I DJ," and then I was like, "You've got to come up just happened. We've got a video. I think the video is going to come out. Mara and some of my good friends in the community have put together some video content that we're going to put together.
Nice. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, it's funny.
Why don't we actually mix it up a little bit today? Because I know, like, I don't want to keep our guest waiting for too long. Why don't we do a couple community questions right now from the Discord,
okay,
and then get him in here and we can talk to him. And then I'd love it if they can ask him and you some questions as well. So
yeah.
So for right now, Scandally Brad, I'm blown away by the usernames like every week. Scandally Brad wants to know, how does Blockparty plan on engaging the world at large to use their token if they're not crypto literate? It kind of fits in with what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I think we want to start with crypto audiences. I think what we're doing by making the experience in the UX seamless is really putting ourselves in a position that it doesn't always have to feel like crypto. For a crypto person, they know that they're earning tokens. For a person not in crypto, we're just gamifying experience and giving them points so that they can use in the ecosystem for discounts. So it's just the way we position it. But I think it's gamifying the experience and giving the people the opportunity to earn things for doing things. That's the fundamental concepts of an incentive sort of crypto system. And I think that everyone responds to that, whether they're a crypto-oriented person or not. So hopefully we can get traction with people outside just by incentivizing them for doing simple activities.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Next, I love Blockparty. Wants to know, been following Blockparty for a while now and joined to ask about venues in particular because I work for a large concert venue. How will the team attract venues to use Blockparty? Are there incentives for them to do so? And how many venues have you guys been in contact with already?
So we're locking in certain types of deals with different venues. So, I mean, over the next 3 weeks, I guess we'll start announcing different venue deals that we have with, as you've already seen on the app, we work with One Oak, with Vandal, around New York, the Box, Tau, downtown, Marquee. So, these are premier venues, and we're doing a combination of things like buying bottles and tables with crypto or fiat, and also some general admission as well. So we're starting going city by city. I think that's our sort of our growth plan. But we're also doing similar things in Chicago and Miami, and hopefully we get out to Vegas and LA soon, and talking to some people in Hong Kong. So there's lots of different growth. I think getting in the bigger concert venues, like the ones that are already ticketed with long-term contracts with AEG and Live Nation, I think they're not as easy. We've got to figure out, who wants to partner with us out of the bigger ticketing world. We have to work with those ticketing companies mostly. And then in some circumstances, we can work directly with the artist through their fan club tickets, because most artists have a 8 to 10% allocation for fan club tickets. So if we can work with, major artists on their fan club tickets, we can get access to 10% of, any of their tours, no matter what size venue they're in. So it's a combination of ways. But for me to get into, Madison Square Garden, I think is not necessarily that straightforward. They're closely held, Ticketmaster venues, and we've got to find ways to work with either Ticketmaster or with the artist to get a percent of the allocation.
But at the same time, it sounds like, for as many artists as there are out there, you've a lot of different opportunities, and there are a lot of different avenues for you to, start really growing your user base.
Yeah, I like the mid-sized venues, the nightclubs. Frankly, nightclubs don't really like guys paying general admission. They like guys buying tables and girls coming in for free. So for us to be able to help sell tables is a pretty interesting strategy for us, because we get to help them with marketing and bringing in a new audience. That the crypto audience is growing 50% a year, and it's 20 million people in the US, and so that's a pretty exciting, mostly male. So it's a pretty exciting demographic for these nightclubs. So we're actively pitching that, and we're making sure that cryptocurrency is a payment option, and they like it. So I think we would rather start with that strategy than pay millions of dollars for massive venue contracts that that are really hard to get.
Makes sense. All right, how about Sigma? How many tickets did Blockparty sell at Ultra Music Festival?
Oh, super small. We had Ultra Music was a private alpha test. I think it was probably 25 or something like that. It was really a small test use case. An alpha test, by its very nature, is just to make sure that the thing works. Obviously we used the branding to say that we were at Ultra, and it was an Ultra, but it wasn't really for the purpose of pushing through massive amounts of tickets.
Okay. RTalk. You got an RTalk sighting. RTalk was actually one of our former interview guests. So shout out to him.
Is it our RTalk, our Beaksy RTalk, or a different one?
It's our Beaksy RTalk, yeah.
What's up, Blair? How you doing? He's my man. We had dinner the other night.
Did you really?
Yes, we do.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I love that dude. RTalk is here, and he wants to know, what is your favorite company in crypto, not counting Blockparty?
It's not even a trick question because I love Beaksy so much. I absolutely love Beaksy so much. It's not even a trick question. I feel passionately about the entire team. Nick, Franklin, Artak, everyone in the team are just ultimate, consummate professionals, hardest working people, outside of Blockparty, obviously. We just do a lot of cool things together. They were co-hosts of our party, so yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Metal as well, and Hero, and some other companies in the space, FOMO Hunt, but yeah, Beaksy holds a special place in our hearts.
I hear it. Speaking of Marshall, he's on your guys' board too, right?
Yes, that's correct. Marshall is a legendary marketer. He worked in community at Stellar, and he really understands the pulse of crypto and how people think, and I think it's really, I love to get his input and advice on how to work in the marketing aspect of cryptocurrency. So he's super helpful, and we hope to be doing a lot more with them in the future.
Awesome. Okay, one more from Virtual John. In the white paper, you discussed insider tickets as a problem, where a vendor gives high-value tickets away to industry insiders, which can't be resold. So how would Blockparty deal with this scenario if an insider can't go to the event, but is not allowed to sell their ticket?
So the insider, because there's a chain of custody, it's coming from the event and then it's going to the insider. So the insider should be able to sell their ticket. It's just that they're going to be capped on how much they're going to mark it up. When you sell a ticket to front row at the New York Knicks game, insiders sometimes sell them, those $400 tickets or $1,000 ticket for $10,000, for a great game, or $5,000. And I think that's where people feel like they're being taken advantage of, or there are empty front row seats, and people are stuck in the rafters. And I think it's really about just stopping the sort of being taken advantage of. The regular person should feel that they can go to things that they want to go to. Obviously, the front row is super expensive. They should be able to mark it up, but it doesn't have to be that unfair.
Yeah, I agree.
That smart contract, limits on prices. So there's certain things that we do to limit people from taking advantage of other users.
Mm-hmm. Which is something I definitely want to get into too, because I think it's super interesting that you guys, you can actually programmatically within a smart contract mark up, what the future price can be if somebody sells their ticket that they bought. Let's talk about that in a bit though. Why don't we roll out the red carpet? Shiv, do you want to do the honors and introduce our guest?
Yeah. So look, I mean, we decided last week that we were going to, because we had so many good things to talk about over the next month, that we were going to have a month of announcements. An announcement came out on Monday, and our first announcement was the tokenomics, the 10 new token use cases that we're really excited about. And over the next 3 weeks after, this week, we're going to have a whole bunch of other stuff. But today, I really want to talk about, our special guest here. With no further ado, his name is Justin Blair. He's my man.
Here he is.
Timing.
What's up, Lau? How are you?
He's a world famous DJ, as you know.
Doing very well and super stoked to join the team at Blockparty. I've been a fan of everything they've been doing since, I guess, since 2017. So it's really great to be a part of the bigger picture now.
And so you're joining as an advisor, correct?
Yes.
Joining the Blockparty
as an advisor and on the music strategy end, my goal is to kind of connect the dots to other people in the industry, to help on the marketing side, to help the team get access to, like Shiv was talking about earlier, more venues, more artists who would be willing to sell tickets on Blockparty. And it's something that I'll be doing for my next tour as well.
Touring, which, you are no stranger to. You're very successful touring artist. You've played a few Blockparty shows already, right? Were you playing Ultra during that alpha release?
Was that this past year, Shiv?
No, it was 2018.
That was 18. So I wasn't playing in 18.
Yeah.
I played Ultra this year, but I have been a part of a lot of events that Blockparty has ticketed, and definitely looking to use the platform for my shows on my next big tour.
Yeah. So when is that tour starting?
So basically, the bigger tour starts next year, in the beginning of next year, and we're going to run a bunch of pilots for some of my other shows along the way. So the idea is to test different use cases for smaller shows up until the big tour, and then kind of do a bigger launch for the big tour. Ideally, reducing ticketing fees for fans who are paying Ticketmaster a lot across all tickets, and I capture none of that value. So that's kind of why I've been excited about Blockparty, is exploring the different ways that I, as an artist, and my friends who are artists, can recapture some of that value.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit about that too. So when you're selling a ticket, there's the point of sale, with the primary seller, Ticketmaster, or whoever else. And then after that, if it's a physical ticket or even if it's digital, there's still no way for you to capture that value, for it to be traced back to you. There's no way for really anybody involved to know that the ticket's been resold. It's on StubHub, or maybe it's, cash in a parking lot or something like that. But with blockchain, that's not the case. So you are, if I'm buying a ticket, right? If I'm buying a ticket to go see your show, then I am being, the transaction's being recorded. It's being recorded on the blockchain, which we were talking about earlier. How exactly, and Shiv or Justin, whoever wants to take this, how do you set that, mark? How do you say, like, we're going to pay, an extra 10% markup and no more? And what's your thinking about that? Like, why is this a great thing? Like, what makes you excited to be able to do this?
I mean, yeah, I think from our perspective, it's just a field within our platform. On the back end of the dashboard, it's just a field that you enter in, where you set the prices and the markups. And there are some aspects of it which are fixed. And there are some aspects which are variable. And on the variable aspects, you can just enter the numbers. If you keep consistently setting up the prices too high, then obviously, at some point, it's going to become a challenge for people to, they can see it. They can see that it's quite visible that the ticket fees are, et cetera. And there are ways to, obviously, it's public and people can see that it's not necessarily fair. But, it's really in the hands of the event organizer beyond the fixed price tickets. They should be able to organize whatever fees they want, but we do have some limits. That's the way we feel about it. I mean, there should be flexibility, but we should have, to some degree, some caps so that it doesn't become a free-for-all. From an artist perspective, I don't know, Justin, what you think, what kind of impact it has on your fans or yourself?
Right. I think I'm particularly excited about this, and I actually did a walkthrough of the Blockparty backend with Rakesh the other week, just to kind of get a better understanding of setting up the events. The platform is meant for anyone to kind of set their own terms, and I think that's what's really great. For me, as an artist, I get a certain percentage allocation of every show that I could sell, of tickets that I could sell direct to fans, and pay fans a little bit on fees, and potentially adjust the pre-sale price to give them a discount. And it's something that hasn't been very easy to do in the past, especially when you think about the secondary market. Like, a lot of fans will just buy multiple tickets and from my pre-sale and then resell them later. I think what's exciting about Blockparty is both the identity control variable and the idea that in the future, primary and secondary markets will be completely collapsed and there'll be more of a free market for tickets. So in the long run, the reason why I'm so interested in everything that Blockparty is working on is it ultimately captures more value for me. Secondary markets just completely remove value from the artist, like you mentioned, Mike. And it's something that over the course of my the 9 years of my touring career, I can't even imagine how much I've lost from secondary market issues. And, I've had fans who buy fraudulent tickets and have no idea what to do when they get to the venue, and they're tweeting me and they're upset. And it all kind of falls on me in the end, right? I'm the artist that they're going to see. No one's really blaming the ticketing company. They kind of end up taking it out on the artist or on the venue or whoever's immediately in front of them. So in the long run, there's so much value to everything that the BP team is working on. And, we're still in such early stages of the ticketing revolution. I'm really just kind of excited to watch it grow and give my insight wherever it's necessary in an evolving space that requires a lot of attention and a lot of careful planning.
Justin, when I was watching some interviews before we sat down, I noticed at one point you had actually said that you look at touring, you look at the music that you produce and everything that you do as an artist as a business. You consider yourself a business. You are a brand. And could you just talk to us a little bit about like what it's like to be on the emerging side of technology, that really like bleeding edge of new things that nobody's tried before?
Yeah. So lots to say on all of that. I'll keep it as short as possible. I've always viewed artists and musicians as startups in their own right, smaller startups than really scalable Ubers of the world. But a lot of the problems that a new artist faces are similar to problems that a startup faces, whether that be market adoption or scaling very quickly or all types of things, right? Market adoption being people listening to the music. So there are all these different variables. And, I went to school I was studying finance in school, and I had a little bit of a background in business, which I think to this day has been a huge contributor to my success as an artist. And I view every single decision that I make either as an investment in my career, whether that be, spending money on production or interesting marketing ideas. And I'm constantly weighing that against the income that I'm generating as an artist. And so I really do view everything through the lens of business, when I'm not, working on the creative side where I'm using my left brain only. I think in general, what excited me about the crypto space as a whole was the potential to really enable fans to have a closer relationship with artists in a way that they actually feel invested. And, there hasn't been that much money in digital music sales for a very long time. Now with streaming, it's starting to come back slowly. But there are all these aspects of the music industry and of artists that weren't monetizable before crypto existed. And I'm just really excited for all different potentials within music and the blockchain space. And I would say my career wouldn't even exist without a tech-oriented underpinning, in the sense that 10 years ago when I started was when SoundCloud and Facebook were even a thing, when those platforms were growing. And I built my entire fan base on the internet without, signing a predatorial record deal and without relying on a centralized distributor, right? Like that was how I built my entire career. And so I think as blockchain tech starts to impact more areas of the music business, we'll see artists have even more power, which is ultimately my goal and why I'm involved in the tech and blockchain side of everything, because of this great stat that I like to quote in every conversation, that of all the revenue that's generated by the music business, which is a little bit over 22 billion a year, artists only keep 12% and 88% goes to everyone else, which is a crazy statistic when you think about it. In my case, I'm keeping a lot more, but when you think about all the other artists that are getting taken advantage of, the potential to disrupt the space with more transparent tech in general is huge. And so I just like to be at the forefront of it because I know it's coming. I know it's the future and it's going to shape my business.
Sure. And that's been the story of the music business, at least as far as the American music business has gone. I'm sure most of it, Motown Records, Tin Pan Alley, like if the songwriter wasn't being taken advantage of, then the recording artist was, or, exactly, whoever is on that creative side. So it's exciting times, we're really starting to empower people.
Yeah.
Could you both just tell me a little bit about how you started working together? Like, how did that collaboration get started?
Chip, you want me to?
Yeah, I mean, Justin was doing some, interesting stuff in the space. Obviously we knew that he was a cryptocurrency enthusiast and, throwing events and I think I reached out to you and I just sort of said, hey, love to.
We had met. I was running a big festival event that we did last year, and I had met Shiv to explore using Blockparty on the ticketing side. This was like a long time ago, really long time ago, when it was pretty early for everyone. And I just kind of, I got a demo of the Blockparty technology in person, and I was like blown away. I was just like, wow, this works, and it works now, which is so rare in any, for any crypto blockchain project. And we just had kept in touch over time. We had done my festival at the end of last year. It was a great success. We sold 8,000 tickets, and I kind of decided afterward that my time would be best spent helping other projects that are full time. I still have my artist career, and we had just gotten dinner in Vegas. Shiv and Rakesh and the rest of the Blockparty team came to Vegas just to brainstorm ideas, and we kind of started thinking, well, damn, I might be able to help Blockparty evolve and help them connect to more people within the music business. And I wanted to kind of get involved in a larger capacity, and that kind of bred the announcement that we made today. So it's been a long time in the works. We've been kind of setting it up for the past probably 4 or 5 months.
That was much more eloquently put than how I described it. But yeah, that was pretty much the exact process. I mean, I feel, one thing I was really, really impressed about with Justin, with the festival that he ran, it was really just this crazy effort by one person. It was a mammoth effort by one person just to
took over my life.
He moved mountains. And honestly, I watched on the sidelines, and we had a 10-person team, and he was just this one-man army just crushing it. And I was always impressed by that. And I think when we went to Vegas and had that dinner, I obviously expressed that, and I was sort of, super intelligent guy. I mean, he had no problems understanding all the details of the blockchain. He was, we were talking about NFTs and side chains, and it was not anything that, there was a discomfort around understanding level, and so we just really bonded. And the other thing was that we had the same vision as how we wanted to grow.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It was the tokens. It was everything about the growth in the industry and how we move forward. We just shared the same vision, and I think that was ultimately what was the driver for us to take a conversation forward. But I'm super excited to have you on board, man. It's going to be a ton of fun, and it'll be really, really cool.
And the timing is great with the bull market. Everyone's a little bit more open to hearing all the innovations and revolutionary things that are happening in the back end. And it's I'm particularly excited because in my heart and in my mind, I know that this tech is going to revolutionize everything in entertainment, let alone music.
Right.
And it's just cool to see it develop over the past 2 years since the start of the 17 bull market to now. And you kind of, Tyler Winklevoss tweeted yesterday, it was a great tweet. It was something along the lines of BTC just broke 8K, but the space is in a lot different place than it was 2 years ago. And, everyone's had time to work, put their heads down, develop the tech, test the tech. And I think in the next 2 years, we're going to see so many huge innovations happen. And, my video came off. Sorry. And, and it's just exciting to be a part of a project that, there aren't that many targeted use cases of blockchain tech and music. This is one of them, right? Ticketing is probably the number one use case for blockchain tech in the music business. So
and I think it's one of the biggest pains in music right now.
Absolutely. And so that's why I'm excited to be involved. I think between ticketing and royalty distribution, those are kind of the two main aspects that I think blockchain will shape in the music business in the future. So,
which is a whole other really, really interesting conversation to have. Hopefully we have time to that a little bit. I do want to ask, because obviously you are, at least you sound like a huge early adopter in the crypto space. Shiv, I know you said that you started paying attention to crypto all the way back in 2014. Double QP, so we've, the AMA running. Double QP wants to know, Justin, specifically, how early did you get involved? Like, when did you step in?
So I started kind of investigating and learning in 2011, but I didn't get personally involved at all until about 2014. And my first exposure to anything in the crypto space was actually the Winklevoss twins, who I had met we have a lot of mutual friends, and I met them in Mexico. I was staying at their place in LA for a week in 2014 when they were kind of working on Gemini stuff. And that's when I started to, explore a little bit more, made smaller investments back then, was very high risk in my mind at the time. And I started getting involved in a really big way in May of 17, kind of right before the massive bull run.
Right.
I had a couple of friends who were investing in ETH. Like, I hadn't known anything about ETH in 17. And a couple of my friends had invested in ETH who were involved in the tech space. I've always had a close ear to everything that's going on in the tech space because two of my college roommates, one of them works for Square. So naturally, payments and fintech have always been of interest.
Jack's a huge evangelist too.
Yes, absolutely. My college roommate, David, was one of the first employees at Square. And then my other buddy co-founded a startup called Open Door, which is revolutionizing the real estate space. So I've always kind of had friends in tech, and I've always kept my ear to the scene. And as ETH started to grow, and as all these token sales were happening, I was seeing a lot of projects, and I was thinking, well, this doesn't really feel legit. And in 17, I think it was rare to find a project where the tech actually worked and where the team was really passionate. And it's just kind of cool, fast forwarding to now, to see the real projects that are succeeding and building and revolutionizing entire industries. So I think we're going to see a lot more of it in the next 2 years. And I just want to be a part of the ride. And I honestly look every morning I wake up and I read crypto news and I read market news for a good 45 minutes. And that habit's been, I've had that habit for the past 2.5 years. So I hope to continue.
So this question's for both of you, but which shit coins are you trading right now?
I don't trade shit coins.
You can start with that one.
I don't trade shit coins. I'm pretty, I'm all about kind of the big top 10, but for me, I'm mainly dominant in BTC. I kind of have been for a very long time. So
okay.
I'm kind of the same. I mean, anything that I own is not a shitcoin. Just to clarify, they're all very strong altcoins. But I'm not going to name them now because they've been referred to.
Sure. More of a joke than anything else.
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, no, it's just an exciting time, and seeing a bull market is exciting, not just for the financial aspect, but for the morale aspect, right? Like you have.
Oh, it helps so much.
So many people
it was dark, in the middle of crypto winter.
Oh, it was dark. It was definitely dark, and I think a lot of people question what their motivations were and what they're really excited about in the space, during that dark period. And whenever there's a bull market, whether you're making money or not, the morale and the motivation and the excitement is high. And I think ultimately, just innovation in general gets accelerated in a big way during the period. So
I was really excited about New York Blockchain Week. There was 150 events.
Wow.
And probably a whole bunch of others that that weren't even listed. But 150 events before the market took off.
Right.
The market took off 1st of April. People would have been organizing most of these events, before that. And so once you filtered out a lot of the 2018 sort of negativity and people who lost, their money in coins that didn't work and projects that died, you still had this core community of people who were still there and kind of evangelized by the fact that, there were projects that were working and things were happening and lightning and everything that was sort of moving forward and growing. And I think they were putting together these events with this plan, and it kind of all culminated in this month. So I feel even before the ramp up in price, there was this burgeoning kind of community that was excited. I felt that at CIS as well in LA, but I mean, New York Blockchain Week's been pretty spectacular, and just in terms of the energy level that came out of the price rise as well as the events and everything like that. So I feel pretty good about the direction.
That's encouraging. I feel like if you only look at crypto Twitter, then this is going to look like the strangest of places and the most outlandish of personalities sometimes. But when you separate just the prices and the talk of gains and everything, it's such a social movement. You have that core community I feel like it's growing every year. 150 events during blockchain week might have been 50 during the last lead up to a bull market, and I don't know what that's going to look like in 4 years, but everybody's focused on a little bit more than just the price.
Absolutely. And I think for me, when a person asks me why I love the space, who might not know a lot about the space, and a lot of my friends do, they're like, why are you involved in this? Didn't that crash already? Everybody asks questions. And being a US citizen or living in a first world, country doesn't really give you the full range of, revolutionary potential that anything in blockchain tech has. When you think about inflation in Venezuela, when you think about lack of access to banking in third world countries, and all these emerging markets that are being shaped by new technology, where emerging markets are now having more access to information than they've ever had before. And in the next 20 years, a lot of those emerging markets are going to be insanely large economies. And you think about their access to banking services and how they're zero. And that to me alone is just such a huge use case and big positive backing for anything in blockchain tech. And so when people ask me about like the prices and this and that, I'm like, if you ignore all of that and you think about this conceptually, I can't make a big bank transfer on a Saturday where it's 2019. Why can't I send a wire on a Saturday? Like that in and of itself is a huge, just a huge plus for everything in crypto technology. And so, when people ask me, I'm like, prices aside, there's real use cases here that are obvious ones, let alone the less obvious, more niche use cases. So the whole space is still, I think, so early.
Why don't we just do one more question from the community? 2 more if we can. I don't know how we are on time, but I think this is a really good one for both of you, especially to close this out. So Sigma wants to know, what are you both most excited about concerning Blockparty? I'm curious about what you're most excited about just in general for the space in 2019. And also, what do you think Bitcoin's price is going to be at the end of the year?
Should we start with Bitcoin price first, or you want to start with Blockparty?
Let's do it.
I think we're going to top 10K for sure. I think there'll be a dip in Q3, but it'll pop back up to 10K.
I agree. I agree with that assessment.
Are you just standing behind my assessment, or are you gonna?
No, I think that this recent bull market's been a little bit too quick. There's not really enough support in it. I think that we're inevitably going to see some volatility, but I don't think that 10K by the end of the year is outlandish or too much of a reach, if not higher. But
that's what I was just going to say. Actually, maybe I'm the perma bull, but just the way it's resisted a really strong drop within the past month, I don't think it's going to 10K or even 20K by the end of May or maybe even in June. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if we're hitting 20K at some point in 2019. I'm not expecting it, but it could. I feel like it could easily happen.
I wouldn't be surprised. Let's put it down
a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes higher than that by the end of 2019. At the same time, it can move in any direction under the sun. So
yeah.
By the way, this is not price advice. Just so everybody that's watching is
aware. Financial advice.
Not financial advice.
And on the second question on Blockparty, I mean, one of the things that that working with Justin brings is really an opening of a door into direct to fan ticketing. So working with Justin enables us to actually take some of the pre-sales or take some of those tickets that he has allocated to fans and be able to create experiences around those as well. So not just having an allocation of tickets, but why can't we organize the meet and greet? Why can't we organize the side event? Why can't we do the things that are not associated with the main event? And really try to use our expertise or the expertise in cryptocurrency and blockchain to make it more of a sticky experience. Because most people don't care about where they go for their ticketing. They go on Eventbrite because the tickets are on Eventbrite. They
right.
go on Ticketfly because the events are on Ticketfly. But if we can, really go direct to fan and create experiences that are different, and working with Justin to sort of build those types of experiences that we can roll out with other clients that are, potentially, his friends and people that he knows in the industry, I think we can really capture a different audience as well as be a lot more sticky and be a place that people hopefully can, spend more time on rather than just buying a ticket and forgetting about, the platform.
Yeah, exactly. Adding layers of incentives to ticket purchasing. That's what's really exciting about Blockparty is, incentivizing fans, not just like Shiv said, it doesn't really matter where you buy the ticket unless you give people a reason to go to Blockparty to buy the ticket. Mm-hmm. And that's what's especially unique. The future, of that entire space is enormous in the sense that people could keep their digital ticket stubs as NFTs, and there could be certain access privileges to those types of tickets. I mean, there's an infinite realm of possibilities, and I just like to, I'm excited to help Blockparty, test a lot of these concepts in real life, in the short term, right? Like these aren't long-term goals. Like we can test them in the next 6 to 10 months, and based on those results, roll it out to a bunch of other artists.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what kind of cross-platform stuff that you guys can work out. Like if somebody has a certain amount of streams of Blau songs on Spotify.
Oh yeah.
Can you access Spotify's API?
Absolutely. Something that I've thought about already. Yeah. You can your top listeners can have certain access privileges that, imagine, someone's just listening to your music all the time. They're a huge fan and they get awarded an NFT that gives them all, backstage privileges at shows. They could resell that if they want to. Why shouldn't they be able to? Right? Like there could be a market for that. I mean, there's an infinite number of possibilities. So It's just cool to, to be able to explore that on the front lines. It's going to be really exciting.
Rakesh was actually looking at that API a couple of days ago. So it's not,
damn,
not out of reach. Let's get back to the drawing board.
Yeah, we should talk about that for sure.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm excited to, just kind of watch what you guys are doing over the next 6+ months. Cryptocopia is definitely be paying attention. Thank you guys for joining. This has been a blast.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Of course. So listen, why don't you just let us know what you think we should be watching? Like, Shiv, should we join a Blockparty Telegram? Pay attention to your blog. Blau, where can we find your music? What should we be paying attention to that you have going on?
You go first, Justin.
Oh, sorry. It's quick for me. It's just 3LAU on Instagram and my Spotify, same. Those are going to be the best places to find out more about what I'm up to.
Easy enough.
And for us, it's Blockparty Community on Telegram. So Blockparty Community, one word. And I'm Shivcoin on Twitter, and it's Go Blockparty on Twitter as well. So Twitter and Telegram, that's where we're at. And obviously Go Blockparty for your tickets.com.
Justin, do you have a secret Twitter handle for crypto Twitter?
I don't. I should have made one though. It's just Blau on Twitter. I tweet about everything though. I don't shill anything whatsoever, but I'll always talk about stuff.
I had to ask.
For sure.
All right. Well, listen, thank you guys again. I don't want to keep you. We will, definitely be paying attention. Thanks again for doing this. And until next time, take care.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Tokyo Express.